All right, guys, so as you can see, we're working on redoing the laundry room here. We've already done a few things, but we're still pretty early in the process. We've moved these shelves up. We've removed a couple of other shelves, and we put in this cabinet over here. But the one thing my wife wants is a floating shelf right here. Now, I could definitely go out, IKEA, whatever, buy one. They're not super expensive, but the reality is they're so easy to build. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And I can do it for probably less than 25 bucks. I mean, probably not even that much. It's probably cheaper than that. So they're super easy to do. I'm going to show you how to do one real quick. It won't take long, so stick with me. All right, so from a material standpoint, what I've got here is I've got a 1x3, which is going to be the front trim. I've got two 2x2s, which is going to be more than I need. That's going to be the base of the shelf. And then I have a 1x8, the width my wife wanted. So we're going to have a 1x8. Then I have some liquid nails here. And I've got some construction screws, and these are 2 inches, but again, you could use some 1.5 is probably fine. And you could change these out. So if you wanted, if you just had a 2x4 around, you'd use a 2x4. That would be fine, and you wouldn't need as many 2x2s as this. But again, very easy. Again, materials alone, probably less than $10 in materials. So with the time I'm going to put into it, like I said, probably 25, 30 bucks, and it's going to be a very solid shelf that won't take long to build. All right, guys, so the first thing we want to do here is we want to determine the length of our shelf. The nice part is this is custom, so I can make it any length I want, and it's really easy. My wife wants it to be from that cabinet to the end of this cabinet. So I'm just going to take my tape measure here, measure that up, and it's 60 inches. So we're going to go ahead and cut one of the 2x2s 60 inches. All right, so as I said, we're using a 1x7 for this, and this is going to be 7 1/4. So what we need to do is we need to take into account the 1.5 that is our 2x2, and then we can determine the length of our other 2x2s that are going to go under this. So if this is 1.5, we just need to take the 7 1/4 minus the 1.5. And what we're going to get is we're going to get 5 3/4. So what we need to do is cut up 5 of the 2x2s at 5 3/4. I always square the end no matter what. Now, yeah, 5 3/4 isn't that hard. It's pretty easy to cut 5 of these at 5 3/4, but I like to make sure they're all the same size. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to measure this first one at 5 3/4. Arc that right there. I'm going to get this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a stop block for myself, so that I have a consistent cut every single time, and I don't have to keep measuring. I just have one right there. And now you just cut this, and slide the next one. Now, as you can see, I got 5 of them at exactly the same length. If I need to cut another one, I can pretty easily just put this up, cut myself an extra, which I'm probably going to do just in case. And then I can pull that off. Now I'm going to cut my 60-inch piece. Let's see if we got enough here. So we actually only needed one 2x2, but that works. So cut that off. So now what we want to do is we just want to take our 60-inch 2x2, which is going to be what's secured to the wall. Now it's a 2x2. You can use 1 screw or 2. I'm going to go ahead and do 2. All right, so now that I've got this here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my blocks at the end here, and you can go ahead and secure these if you want. I'm going to have 5 spaces here. I'm going to use all 4 of these blocks, and 4 blocks is 6 inches, so I know 57. I'm going to take that 57 minus 6, and that's going to give me the 51. Then I'm going to divide this by 5, because I'm going to have 5 spaces here. So let's go ahead and do the math there. And 51 divided by 5, I know that's going to get me, let's say 10 1/8 here. I think that should be fine. I may have a little extra down at the end, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and mark this out. Put that block there. And again, I want to make sure I put the block in there, because if I mark these here and I measure from there to there, it's going to be wrong every time. Otherwise, what you could do is you could just add the 1.5 each time. So again, I'm not too worried about that. So let's just go 10 1/8. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to have that extra block in there for a little bit more stability. And now, as you see, my last one here is 10 1/4, but that's not a big deal. So now we'll go ahead and mark these here on this side. I'm going to drill my pilot holes, and I know that each of those is this side, this side, this side, this side. All right, so whichever end is the flattest here, let's go ahead and make sure that's down. And if you want to drill pilot hole again, and make sure it hits that second one, that's fine too. Then we're going to take our liquid nails here, put a little on the end there. That'll help to hold it in place while you're working. You can wipe that off in a minute. There's that guy. Now, the other benefit to pre-drilling your holes is it means it's going to send it right through. I'm not going to have it angle off. I'm not going to have it come out the side or anything like that. It's just going to go straight. So the next thing we want to do is we just want to find our studs. Now, I know there's one here, 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 because I've already been in here doing all this stuff. If you don't know, just get a stud finder, find it, or look for an outlet here. And usually the stud's going to be on one side, and just knock, and you'll see one's hollow, one's not. So right here, you can see the studs here. So our height's going to be right about right there. Like I said, you can pre-drill this if you want. I'm not worried about it being level right now because I'm just getting this set in place. So I've got my spot here. I'm going to take my level and I'm going to level it out. The main reason I do this afterwards is because this board is going to bow a little bit as I do this, and as I find my spots and where I'm going to screw it at, I'm going to level as I go because the board is very likely going to bow a little bit here and there. So I need to move the board as it goes. So once I'm happy, now I'll adjust as I need to. I need to go down a little bit right there. And then again, if I need to adjust this up or down at the edge here, I can. And that's pretty good right there. Now, the other thing you want to be careful of is as you hit your studs, it helps to measure it out beforehand. That way you don't have a block sitting on where you want your stud. And that's kind of this frame of our shelf. We'll adjust it as we go, but now we're going to get our 1x8. Now we're going to go ahead and cut our 1x8 down. And again, go ahead and square off the edge here first. And then we're going to cut this to 60 inches. Now, one thing you can do, and it just makes the edge look a little bit better. So if you do decide to cut to 45, just make sure you account for that 45. So you're going to need the width of the wood from the pieces you cut. So instead of them being 5 1/4, you're going to need them at 4 1/2. So let's go ahead and cut this here. Now, when I originally cut this, I counted for that 3/4 of an inch that I'm going to need for my other piece here. So as you can see, these are all cut back a little bit. Unfortunately, this wall's not perfect. You could scribe this, or you could just go with it as is and put a little spacer in there, which is probably what I'll end up doing. So let's go ahead and nail that down. Now, if you have a trim gun, great. If you don't, that's fine. You can use screws too. Take a little liquid nails. Just go down each of these. Right there. You don't have to have a ton. Then, like I said, if you have a nail gun, great. If you don't, And then, okay. Now let's get our 1x3 here. We'll cut that. We'll put that in there as well. Now we're going to cut that 1x3 to 60 inches. There at the end. Now let's dry fit it here. As you can see, it fits pretty well right there. So let's get some liquid nails on our edge again. Now we're going to take this, just line it up here, make sure our edges are good there. And then just shoot the top of it. I'm not trying to shoot the bottoms here yet. I just want to shoot the top and make sure our edge looks good, because if it needs to move at all right, so if you got a spot like I got over there where it's sitting high, you can put some weight on that and try to push it down and see if that'll fix the issue. But right now, let's just get the top done. And there you go. Really, that's all there is to it. It's not that hard. Really, the more difficult part is cutting that 45 on the end and trying to trim that down. And we'll come back, sand this, stain it. But this is really the challenging part. If you just want to do a 1x8 and then a flat piece of trim on the fine, that would look fine too. You just sand it down, it'll look great. It'll actually give you a little bit more space here. But either way is fine. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.